It was a Halloween-themed edition of Monday Night Raw this week. All the graphics were spooky, we had a spooky setup for the Titantron, and of course there was little pumpkins next to the Raw logo as well. Thank you for joining us at Turnbuckle Temple. Let's get right into the action. The show kicked off with a bang as Rhea Ripley's theme hit and she strutted out with Dominik Mysterio and McDonagh in tow. She hyped up the crowd, boasting about Judgment Day's recent wins. She also told the world that between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, one has to do a deal with the Judgment Day. And man, the crowd was eating it up. If Ripley keeps getting this kind of love, WWE might have no choice but to flip her from heel to face. She's just too like to stay the bad guy. Then, out of nowhere, Sami Zayn crashed the party, perching up on the ring post like a parrot. He's tired of the Judgment Day chatter and reminds everyone he's been battling crews like them his whole career. What started as a standard promo quickly turned into an impassioned speech from Zayn. Just as Judgment Day looked ready to jump him, Ricochet swooped in to back up Zayn, setting the stage for a showdown with Dom. But Zayn, he didn't even stick around ringside to return the favor for Ricochet, even though they were outnumbered by the Judgment Day. Speaking of Ricochet, this guy's skill and adaptability are off the charts. He practically forces his rivals to step their game up just to keep up, but he's also pro at making him look good in the ring. In the end, Dom snagged the win, rolling Ricochet up with a sneaky grip on his tights, all thanks to a distraction from McDonagh. Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupree rolled out with Chad Gable and Otis for their face-off against Julius and Brutus Creed, who were making their Raw debut. For those out of the NXT loop, the Creed brothers have been tearing it up as one of the hot tag teams there, rocking a style that's a throwback to the Steiner brothers from the 90s. Ivy Nile was ringside too, hinting she might have gotten the call up alongside them. The match kicked off with Gable and Julius trading some slick takedowns and counters, showcasing their legit amateur wrestling chops. Then, when Brutus and Otis tagged in, it was a clash of the titans, each team's powerhouse going head to head. Sure, you could tell these teams weren't used to squaring off, but it was still a blast to watch. The Creeds might be finding their footing, but facing off with vets like Otis and Gable on Raw was a smart move. It puts their talents on full display for a whole new audience. The match really picked up in the second half. Julius hoisted Otis above his head, setting Brutus up to nail their finisher, snagging a surprise win. Post-match, all four guys shared a moment of respect and celebration, with the crowd totally into it. The Miz's talk show segment was all set to feature Gunther, but things didn't go as planned. When it was time for Gunther to show up, nada. Instead, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci stepped in, throwing shade at the A-lister. Gunther finally crashed the party mid-argument. He straight up told The Miz he wasn't his guest and had zero respect for him. They exchanged some heated words until Gunther had Kaiser smash a pumpkin with The Miz's logo. The Miz tried to hold his own, but the odds were stacked against him. It looks like the WWE's gearing up to flip The Miz to a babyface, and he might even be gearing up for the Intercontinental title next. As he made his exit, Gargano and Ciampa hit the ring to take on Kaiser and Vinci. Vinci and Gargano kicked things off with a classic lockup, but things escalated quickly. These teams have a history from their NXT days, so they jumped straight back into their old rivalry. Meanwhile, The Miz was seen chatting to Adam Pearce backstage, angling for an Intercontinental title shot. Pearce threw him a bone, setting him up a match against Bronson Reed to prove his worth. The whole setup was slick. Miz TV teed up a potential Gunther vs. The Miz showdown, and a tag team match that followed kept the momentum going. Everyone was on their A-game, delivering the second killer tag match of the night. DIY clinched the win when Gargano pinned Vinci with their signature meet in the middle finisher. Post-match there was some serious tension brewing between Kaiser and Vinci, who still looked noticeably groggy after missing a moonsault and eating the kicks from DIY. Their partnership's been on thin ice for a while, and it feels like a showdown between the two is just around the corner. Candice LeRae faced off against Li, who's finally getting some well-deserved spotlight. Remember when Li hit the main roster with that killer entrance? It looked like the WWE was setting up for a major push, but then it just fizzled. Now she's back in the game. Last week, Li ambushed LeRae backstage, setting the stage for this match with Li stepping into the heel role. The Poison Pixie didn't waste any time, launching into the fight with a fiery vengeance as soon as the bell rung, but Li wasn't having it. She flipped the script and took charge. The match hit a peak when Li landed a savage kick to LeRae's head, and the ref had to step in, ruling LeRae couldn't continue. While trainers rushed to check on LeRae, Li celebrated her victory. The way it all went down, it's hard not to wonder if LeRae's injury is real. If that's the case, fingers crossed she's alright and bounces back soon. Before Seth Rollins hit the ring with his signature swagger, we were treated to a killer video spotlighting Drew McIntyre, filmed from the Performance Center. Fans online couldn't help but connect the dots with Ripley's speech earlier, as McIntyre was illuminated with purple lights in the video package, possibly foreshadowing what's to come at Crown Jewel. Rollins, aka the Visionary, wasn't just there to show off his moves. He grabbed the mic for a lengthy promo, hyping up his upcoming showdown with McIntyre at Crown Jewel. He made it clear, McIntyre's missed title shot, absolutely no sympathy for him. Once the bell rung, McDonagh flipped the script, dominating Rollins with his precise and punishing style. Rollins might have had an edge in size and power, but McDonagh's quick moves and a few sly tactics kept him from being a straight pushover. This match was a high-octane clash between two top-tier talents. Just as Rollins was lining up for the win, Priest made a dramatic entrance, Money in the Bank briefcase and ref in tow, and took a ringside seat to catch the action. Rollins wasn't distracted for long. He nailed a pedigree and stomp, securing the victory. All the while, he kept one eye on Priest, ready for any surprise cash-in attempts. Keeping with tradition, this year's Trick or Street fight, total Halloween mayhem, with Natalya and Green going at it in the ring. Green and Piper Niven rolled in, decked out as the Heart Foundation, a cheeky move to mess with Natty's head. The match kicked off with some classic Halloween shenanigans. Green smacked a pie right into Natalya's face, then cranked up the intensity, slamming her head into the canvas. The ring turned into a chaotic scene straight out of a Halloween party, with candy and props flying everywhere, all thanks to Green and Niven's antics. Natalya wasn't there for the tricks though. She tried to lock in a sharpshooter, but Green and Niven were on their toes, kicking her into the ring post in a slick counter. And then, out of nowhere, Nikki Cross pops up from underneath a table, pumpkin on her head, giving off some major spooky vibes with that 1,000-yard stare. Let's be real, this wasn't about tactical mastery, it was all about Halloween fun, and it totally delivered. It was a wacky break from the night's intense matches. Green pulled off the win with a little assist from Niven. This week's main event threw Priest and Zayn into the spotlight with a one-on-one showdown. Breaking from the norm, the Archer of Infamy rolled in without his usual backup. Things kicked off with a classic lockup, but Priest wasn't playing fair, sneaking in a cheap shot in the corner. Zayn wasn't about to take that line down, coming back at him with some sharp chops. Zayn's got this knack for being the ultimate underdog, but don't let that fool you. He's also a pro at holding his own against bigger guys, thanks to his top-notch skills. The match was heating up when Dom and Baylor jumped in to back up Priest, but then Jey Uso hit the scene, siding with Zayn. Things escalated when Uso's super kick on Priest got Zayn disqualified. That's when Cody Rhodes made his appearance, evening the odds and turned it into a 3-on-3 brawl. The match itself was solid, but the ending, classic overbooking. That seems to be the trend with every Judgment Day match lately. This week's Raw was rock solid. Sure, it had some dips and promo clips, but overall, pretty impressive with Crown Jewel on the horizon. The matches were on point, but what really stood out was the spotlight on the tag team division. WWE totally nailed it, showcasing some seriously talented up-and-comers. The Creeds killed it on their debut against Alpha Academy. The reunited DIY, that's got the fans buzzing big time. Chelsea Green, she's the comedic genius WWE's been waiting for. And Judgment Day, still owning Monday nights like bosses. Let's hope Vince and LeRae are okay. They took some serious impacts. We wish them a speedy recovery. With Crown Jewel just around the corner, it was a pleasant surprise to get such an action-packed show. We'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Jump on the bandwagon. The journey is far from over, and we'll keep you updated on every twist and turn. Turnbuckle Temple is your home for WWE action. Please consider giving us a like and hitting the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. We'll see you next time, ready for another banger of a show.
Like WWF give ops the belt. Jump from the turnbuckle. 556 and 223 STDs trying to burn something.